Alright guys, welcome back. I wanted to do another video. Probably a couple years ago, a buddy of mine got into racing. He's never built a kit before. He's never soldered before. So this video and others like it's kind of aimed at guys like him. When I first got into the hobby, I think I went to Walmart or Sears or maybe even Radio Shack if I want to show my age. And I got a soldering iron and everything was kind of a fight. Trying to solder my motors, trying to solder my speedos. Everyone kept telling me, "Oh, you got to have a better soldering iron. You got to have a Weller." Now this little 30-watt soldering iron, it's got a small tip. I do still hang on to it and very rarely use it, but it does come in handy for incredibly small projects where I don't need a lot of heat. Something, for example, is when about a year ago I had a damaged transponder and the wires got damaged, and they were pretty much damaged right flush with the case, and I was able to install new wires. I might do another video on how to save your transponders, but you know, small cheap soldering iron does come in handy sometimes. Then I moved up to a Weller 40-watt, very common soldering iron. You see everybody in the pits have one. Well, if everybody's got one plugged into the pits, you know, it also becomes kind of a fight sometimes. If you want real pretty solder joints, quick, easy operation. I never had a good holder for it. I never had, you know, a nice wet sponge. I could never control my temperatures. I'm always burning my pit mat, burning myself, burning people around me, forgetting to unplug it. I've since, I think, it's kind of comical. I thought, oh man, I'm going to make a tire groover. Well, that didn't really work. So then I upgraded to just like a nice, you know, little track power setup. These things last forever, super handy, still somewhat portable. A little bit of a game changer. It's not going to instantly make your soldering better, but it's just going to make your soldering easier. So today, let's just quickly, I like to use maybe an old tire gluing band. Kind of gives me a third hand. Kind of come in here, we can kind of place a new bullet, for example. And this will just kind of show a quick, easy process that should work whether you're soldering your leads to your motor, to your bullets for your battery, new wires on your speedo. It's all kind of the same process. Just a nice rosin core electrical solder from my local Westlake. Nice wet sponge, clean tip. And we're going to first, let's just go ahead and get this bullet tinned, and then we'll work on the wire after. We'll apply a little heat. A little solder on the tip always helps kind of transfer the heat. We're just going to kind of fill up that little recess in the bullet there. Just like so. Clean tip. Next, way I do it, you know, whether you're running wires to your motor or anything else, I like to have a pretty precise length. I don't like a lot of extra bird's nest of wires in my cars, if you will. I like it kind of sleek and easy to work on. So I might come in here, for example, and be like, okay, I want to solder there if this was, let's say, my motor wire. And I'll take my X-Acto and kind of mark my overall length of wire, and I'll just kind of nick the sheathing of the wire there. And then that tells me that's where I need to cut it. Then, you know, typically, I don't know, 3/16 to a quarter. I'll take an X-Acto, I'll come in here and kind of place it where I think I want to cut it, and just be very careful and just kind of roll the wire across that blade, and wire stripped. So next step, let's go ahead and tin the end of this wire, and I'll just take the solder on the roll and kind of prop it up there. Clean tip. Go ahead and get a little solder on the soldering iron, and then just start transferring the heat onto the wire. Spin the wire, we'll kind of get some on the back side there. And now our wire's nice and tinned up. Clean the tip again. In this first step, I'm gonna get the wire stuck to the bullet. I'll go ahead and add a little solder to the tip. I'll lay it in place where I want it. I'm going to apply just a little bit of pressure and a little bit of heat. And she's on there. It's not the most attractive looking thing yet, but we're going to add some more solder and kind of fill that recess up. I'm applying a little bit of pressure with the iron, holding the wire to you get a pretty nice, pretty solder joint there. Alright guys, might do another one talking about cable management, quick tips to kind of clean up your receiver wires. I know some guys like to cut them and shorten them. Other guys like myself, I'm constantly tinkering and moving this to that car and that to this car and buy a new car, and you know, so a lot of times, you know, I try to keep my wires factory length, and I'll just try to hide them in a nice, clean fashion. Something similar to like this guy here. Pretty clean wiring, easier to work on, and everything's pretty much full length cables other than my speedo and battery wires. Alright guys, thanks for watching.